Yep.
Hello, world.
Yes. Welcome everyone joining. And if you guys just want to get right into this, I'm so excited to learn from you. So take it away.
Yeah, right.
Cool.
So we're going to talk scissor and razor today. And we position it as scissor versus razor, but that's not so that they can fight. That's more so that you can see what you can take from each one. And as far as like tools and tricks and tips go, we're going to try to break it down, keep it simple, and take turns so that we can focus our attention, talk one haircut on my side, one haircut on her side, and sort of all the details in between.
Yeah, we're going to be jumping back and forth. So I'm going to show some really simple long layers with the scissor. Roger's going to be using a razor today. Different ways to layer. So you're going to get two different types of haircuts. Mine's going to be a little more classic. I'm just going to show my section right away. Mine's going to be someone that has long hair, wants to keep the length in the front. We're just going to show how to do long layers. Very simply, very easy. And you might notice that the mannequin is dry. So we're going to cut mine on dry hair. Roger's doing wet. So we have a lot of like this or that going on. So you can see multiple ways. I'm going to start cutting off screen, but I just want to show you my sectioning. So first thing we're going to do is you're going to take a center part right down the middle. And that's going to go all the way from the center front of the head to the center back. And then you're going to find that high point of the head. So this is a way to break the head shape down into smaller sections, we should say. So you're going to look for that high point, and how you do that is you're going to take that comb, and right where it balances, right in the middle, I'm going to take that and go draw a vertical line from the high point all the way to the top of the ear. So that's going to be your first section. So you're just going to take it into those classic 4 quadrants. We all learned that in beauty school. So we're going to take our 4 quadrants. I'm going to use my dry clips and take the legs going up with it. And then the last section, we're going to have just a few of these, 6, and we're going to take this quadrant, and you're basically going to split it in half. What we're looking for is the shape of the head is round. We're looking to see where that change of direction is on the head. If you took your comb right on the side and on the back, it's going to touch right where the head starts to change directions. This is going to keep the hair in its natural fall, so that when I give it her layers, that the hair is going to be completely in natural fall. I'm not over directing, nothing like that. Oh, our little diffuser fell on the camera. That's okay. Sometimes those ring lights get like blinding, and we tried to cover it up this time. Didn't work too bad. All right, so now just drawing a vertical line all the way down to the nape. So you can see here that back quadrant is now split into 2. And how we measured that, just to remind you, comb on the side, hand or comb on the back, right where those 2 touch, that's where that change of direction is. Because the head is round and not square, I'm breaking it down into bite-sized pieces. So just taking this, now I'm going to take my clips. These are awesome for dry cutting because they have that band. It's not going to give dents in the hair. And I'm going to go close to the scalp with the legs going up. And that's just going to help with gravity so the hair doesn't fall out. Nice clean sections. And you're going to have 6 of them. So you're going to have 4 in the back total and 2 in the front, just in its quadrant form. We're not adding a fringe or anything. Going to keep the length. And I'm going to start layering one side, and I'll continue and catch you guys up once we're done. So this is the sectioning for long layers, and Roger will fill you in.
Whoop, whoop. Hey, guys. Okay, got my section done over there. And I'm working a little bit wetter, obviously. So we're going to start out with the razor. I'm going to use a straight blade. So if you're not familiar with the blades, this is straight blade. It's got interruptions on it, so it's guarded, but then that way it can't get you. And you can also use it in every state, if you know what I mean. And we are going to begin at the fringe. So I got the sections drawn out here. Let me just go ahead and pop her off and show you those. I don't know if you know how to screenshot on your computers or what. Oh, great. Of course, it pops out right when I pick it up. If you know how to screenshot or anything like that, get a hold of these sections. Let me wind this down for you real quick. Thing stayed up for 24 hours and came out the second I picked it up.
Literally.
Okay, so you can see I have this rounded section that's going around like I would call it the parietal ridge area, but it's technically not. Parietal ridge might be a little bit lower. I really just want a little frothy top, but I want to maintain a lot of the length. It's called long layer look. And we're going to work with a face frame, which is just classic. If you're a Redken person, it's broken into the bevels in the front. If you're not, it goes to the corner of the eye and it goes up to where the head starts to recess. So if I put a flat thing upon the head, it's where it starts to curve away from that flat in the front. I have those two triangles, if you will, set out. And I also have that little face frame bit that I'm going to cut separately. So I'm going to start with the face frame and I'm going to work with this fringe in front first. Here's why. When I am cutting long layers, right? The idea is to maintain the length. So obviously becomes key, more than key, the point really. So if I am cutting off very little hair back here, I want to do whatever sort of wow or big, because it came to get a haircut, yeah? That means that they're seeking something, they're looking for something, they're not going to just go buy something, they came to change something. So I'm going to change the fringe and I'm going to do it in the front first so that it makes an impact on her, even though I know the majority of this length back here may remain relatively the same. I'm going to take this hair and put it down by the chin and drop about 1 inch. So you can see I got about 1 inch below the chin. If you really want to be a measurer, go to the chin, then slide. The finger angle is going to be diagonal, leaving the length longer towards the length, right? I'm going to over direct it across to the opposite side of the eye. It's about 45 degrees. Here's the key, guys. Make it even closer than that. When I grab this hair to get the tension, don't get super hard with it. I could grab it and I could pull and get really stretchy. That's going to make this stuff in the back pull out. I'm going to cut it off and it's going to pop back and be short. So go light. Even, I love this comb because it'll hold the teeth even when it's painted down, and just let it fall into your hand where you're going to cut it and then trap it. Make sure that the length is good. Let's go a little longer, but loosely. Got a hold of that. Now I'm going to take this razor and I'm going to cut. I got a kind of a crazy arm position just to get out of the way. I could come underneath as well, but then my hand would block you. So I'm going to go up over the top. My stroke is going to be relatively long. I'd say it's about 1 inch to 1.5 inches in span. And I cut the whole thing in one section. Grab and look at your fringe and see how it is. If there's any light bits, right, you're going to have light bits. If you see one that looks a little bit heavier, where am I? It looks a little bit heavier here. Where is that? That's on the inside corner of my hand. So that means that right there by the face, I'm going to have to go back through with a little bit lighter, wider stroke. When I see a blunt piece, that means I did a short stroke. There it is. So I find that blunt piece, and I'm going to just kind of longer strokes take out some of the aggression that I got in my body, which is a lot. Just kidding. Now I have the right side completed. Okay, so it peels out and goes away. It's going to drip and push away from the face. Because I directed it to the side, it's going to want to come back towards me. And now while I have it there, I'm just going to grab the length. I have the left side and all the way done after this. And I'm going to direct that out and look at my last bit of length. There it is. That's what just ended from my fringe cut. My fingers angle hard towards you. So if you may not see that angle, my fingers are going to angle hard this way. So I grab that last bit of length from my fringe as a guide. I slide down to that. And then once I hit that length, pivot till the very bottom bit of length drops out. And then I'm going to longer strokes, right? Depends on what you want. The shorter the stroke, the stronger the texture. The longer the stroke, the more wispy it is. That being said, do you have hair that likes being wispy? Don't go long strokes on hair like mine. You want to keep them short and keep them together. The longer the stroke, the more it separates them. So I have now not this side, which we did not do, but this side, which we've done. We have that face frame that starts to drip and come out from the actual fringe. And you can see the left side undone. It's all kind of just one lengthy still. And this one is opening up here and pushing away, back away from the face, still long. And I'm going to do the exact same thing to the opposite side. So working first all on the right, did the fringe and then the frame or the side. And now I'm going to do the fringe and then the side over there and back.
Okay. So we have finished this entire side already that is hanging down. Let me just pump her up.
Pump her up.
So super quick. Now I'm cutting dry. If you're in the comments and the chats, type in, why do you think cutting dry versus wet? Like, what's the difference? What are we looking to achieve? I enjoy cutting dry a lot. There's a lot of different tools I can use for it. Right now, I'm using my streamline scissors. Let me show you. And we also have the dry cutting sliders too, but there's a difference. So these are the dry cutting, the sliding shears. They're a little more rounded. I can slide through the hair really easy, but I'm kind of doing more of a precise type cut. When I say precise, I mean I'm going to cut blunt. I don't really want to push the hair. So I'm using my streamline shears right now. I love these. They cut like butter. And it's your lucky day because they are, I believe, 45% off today. So we have our Black Friday deals going on. These are what, the 6.6? The 625. These are my 625. So I'm cutting dry with the streamline. And how we do that is we're doing it in a way that we, if you talk Redkin language as we do, it's called swelling graduation. So what I like about it, it's super soft layer. Now I know the mannequin doesn't have super long hair to start, but you can see she's got these shorter layers now. So all I'm looking for is to break up that heaviness. And I think this is completely realistic. In the salon, I have a lot of clients that have long hair and they come in and ultimately they just want to trim sometimes, or they want just layers put in their hair. So this is how I achieve that. So I've already done the entire right side, your left, and my guide came right from this high point of the head. So I'm going to lift this up. I cut it about, I'd say 1.5 inches past the bottom of the earlobe. So about 1.5 inches. And I just let it fall in its natural fall. So here's my guide. If you need to, you can put a clip on it to hold on to it. I'm going to keep this in front. Let's get this out of the way. And I'm going to start with my back bevel. So let me turn her and show you. Right here is where we're going to start. Now you have a couple options. Cutting dry is going to give us a little bit more texture than if we were cutting wet. So I'm choosing to cut dry so I can see how the hair is exactly going to lay and also get a little bit more texture with it. Now with this section or this bevel that we have, I could take this entire thing and cut it at once. And when we do that, that's because if I cut more hair at the same time, I'm also going to get more texture than if I took smaller sections. I'm going to choose a happy medium here. I'm going to take this bevel in the back. I'm going to split it into two. And I'm just going to take the one closest to the center part in the back. And I'm going to start combing up vertically. Now watch as my hands grab the hair. I'm combing vertically on both sides. And I'm going to lock in my fingers vertically at the top. So now all of this is be done vertically. And that's going to give the illusion of length. It's going to give slimmed out layers. So I'm not looking for a super weighty line. And now I'm going to elevate straight up. I'm locking my fingers in right at the high point, and I've grabbed my guide with my pincher finger. And now I'm just going to make almost like a rainbow shape. I'm going to float over. Let's get a better view of this.
That's a pincher finger.
A pincher finger is your, also known as your pointer finger. I'm going to float over exactly from where it lives. And here's my guide right here. So you can see that little in my pincher finger guide. And I'm going to cut with a diagonal finger angle. So I'm cutting short to long right here. That's going to ensure that I have short layers on the top. And when I release it, I'm keeping that length. So what I do in the meantime too, I didn't explain yet, but my next section, I'm going to drop out that nape area, which is the bottom underneath, and it's going to save our length. So I'm just going to drop this out. That's going to ensure we don't cut a hole in the bottom or the length. I'm going to take my section. We're going to elevate it up, straight up. I'm keeping it close to the head. So my fingers are going to lock in really close to the head here. I'm going to pick up my guide and I put it always in the front pincher, as I keep saying, or pointer finger. This is just so I don't lose it. I tend to lose my guides. So I'm going to comb vertically. My finger position is vertical. I'm floating over almost like a rainbow till I see my guide right there. Boom, it's right there. And then the angle of my fingers are diagonal, and that's going to give me short to long. This is a super soft layer. And what it does is it starts giving a curved line that kind of swells out in the silhouette of your cuts. So this looks great on super long hair. It looks good on short hair. And it's not limited to just a vertical finger position. You could go in horizontally if you want some more weight. So I'm just going to clip this up. I'm going to show one more bevel before I move on to the front. We'll let Roger pop back in before I do that. But I'm going to show you how to do it all in one now. So you could take this whole section and cut it at the same time. It's going to give great texture and whatever else you're looking for with like speed in the salon too, which is what I really look for. Notice that we have our hairline right here. So if I took that entire thing and I elevated it and cut it, there's a chance I could cut my length and get a hole in my length. If that's ever happened to you in the chat, say I've been there, because I know that I have been there before. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to etch out the hairline, and sometimes I'll take a slice, but you can also do a little zigzag. So if you do a little zigzag, it's not going to be a perfect horizontal or diagonal, excuse me, line, and it'll kind of diffuse it a little bit. Okay, so here we are. Now this hair is not being over directed. So this would be over direction, moving side to side, but this hair is going to be elevated completely from where it lives. So it's just going completely from where it lives, and I'm just arcing it over. Super fast way to cut. I'm gonna move her over a little bit more, pick up my guide right at the high point. I'm gonna elevate up and arc over, and you can see my guide right there. Boom, right in front. My finger position's vertical. The angle is diagonal, and I'm just cutting a blunt line. So cutting a blunt line, I'm going to go back through and start texturizing this as well. But I'll show you the back end result before I jump to the front. And I'm going to work on texturizing this before I jump to the front. So sometimes for me, I like to take bite-sized pieces in my haircuts, make sure I like what I'm seeing, and then I'll move on to the front, which is right up here, and show y'all how I got that done while keeping the length. But you're going to start seeing she has just super soft layers. And I'll explain the difference of how we get steps in haircuts versus a super soft layer when I come back in. And then we'll put some curls in it and call it a day. So I'll let Roger catch you up, and I'm going to start texturizing this, and I'll catch you guys up in a second.
Hey, how are we doing out there, guys? Everybody doing okay? You like Ellen's stuff? You should give her some thumbs up, give her some love. We are on this left side now. So I have cut the right side. I would show you so you can see the result, but it's laying over clips and all that stuff. I want to keep it separate. Don't trip, potato chip. We will show you. We are now going to work in the old school. When I was learnt how to do hair, I took these Tony and Guy VHS videos home. Might have even been TG, or was it Tony and Guy first?
I think it's Tony.
I don't remember. I think it was TG first.
For you.
If somebody knows, tell me. I think it was TG first or Tony and Guy first. Oh, what a dilemma. Anyways, they did this haircut called the Inversion. It changed my life. I cut probably like 25 mannequin heads off to that haircut, as short as I could take it, to try to learn it, because I would never see anything like that. Still to this day, it gets kind of some butterflies in my belly when I talk about it, think about it, because I think it was something that was such a challenge for me in my early part of my career that I still love it now. You know, like when you conquer something that was hard for you, later you go back to it and it makes you feel victorious again. I do believe that's why I might do it. But anyways, I'm going to take this top, and you can see it's rounded towards the bottom of this section. That just helps it transist easy. And I'll show you how much of the hair I have. I got basically everything that lives from the top and crown, except for the fringe, right? This is the hair that I'm going to work on. I'm going to start in the center. So just draw the hair back to where you or standing, which in this case is behind it. So I can take a line that's straight across the top, or I don't know how you would say that. A lot of people call that a vertical one. Some people call it a horizontal one. It's basically right dead center, middle part, the hair from the very center. And I'm going to take the fringe, which I've already cut. That was an inch or so below the chin, right? And I'm going to take that bit up. And now I'm going to turn her to the side so that you can see what I see from the side. Just keep bumping everything. And this now is my length towards the front. Okay. This bit is the longest bit from the center of the fringe. Let me say that again. The center of the fringe. Don't grab the outside. Grab the center. And I'm going to work. I'm probably going to have to get her just a little bit lower. I'm going to work from front to back. So you can see the length right there in the front. Maybe you cannot. Blessed child. Right there. Yeah. And then I'm going to transition to about 45 degrees, slide past the line, see in my mind, short to long line, 45 degrees-ish. And now my stroke here becomes very much. So my shoulder's moving, my elbow's moving. I take another section right down the center. Some people used to call it a profile section. Doesn't matter what it's called. It's right down the center, and it's following the center part from the back of the fringe to the crown. And after this one, I'll turn her around so you can see it coming the other way. A little known thing, and was a mind blower to me when I first learned it. Hugo Urias taught me that you shift around on your razor. Don't cut in one spot on the razor. You ever notice that your scissors get very, very dull at just the tip right away? But the rest of the blade is still good. Cut further back on the blade and it'll work, right? This is the same mentality. Let me turn her this way now. So I'm working deeper down this center. I only turn her this way because it will help you see the guide. But here's where it's going to get awkward. See the short length at the front, and I need to just cut, well, I need to just cut straight back. Killing it. But when I'm cutting this way, my finger angle gets funny, and it's super hard to cut from this side out. Literally the opposite side of the head. I don't know why. I did it to make it so you could see how awkward it was, and boy, was it. The idea is that you need to cut where it's more natural. I will keep pulling this back to the center by nature. So if I'm standing on the opposite side that I'm cutting, I will keep pulling back to this point. When I flipped her around and got on the opposite side, you could saw I was like, So if you hit a spot and you're trying this at home or at the salon or wherever, and you're trying it and you feel like, boy, this is getting weird, make sure that you're not standing on the same side that you're cutting. You want to be on the opposite side. Boy, write that one down. And now I'm coming again from the front to the back. I got all the last bit of hair, so I'm almost there. Take some more of the hair from behind it just so that I can see more of the guide. I want to see underneath a strong resemblance of angle, which is diagonal, working from short to long. I want to see also a guide from the front, so if she drops out and you don't see it anymore, grab a little piece. I'm moving to different parts of the razor now. I realize that it's just at the very tip top of your screen, and on phones that's probably not going to work, but I'll adjust when I come back. So now I have all this stuff that I've cut from the top. Let me just give her a little wiggle. It looks crazy with all those clips underneath, but I'm going to start to scrunch this and push this into place. Start to find like where the short lengths are in the front. I can probably start dropping those clips out of the back and looking at it, but I'm just at first making sure I don't have any pieces that are out of character. These front pieces are looking okay. I'm going to start to work on the length and get that stuff set up off camera. Elle's going to come in right now and pick up where she left off, and I shall be back to show you what's going on next.
All right, how's everything going out there in the universe of the interwebs? So just to catch you guys up, now if you guys have questions along the way, you can type them in, ask them. Katie is here to ask us, and we can answer any questions too. But I just want to catch you up on a little texturizing I did. So I used the 14 tooth point cutting shears, which I'm obsessed with. This is going to give me the result of basically point cutting the hair. Even though I just cut a blunt line, I'm just going to give it maybe 1 or 2 snips of these, and it's just going to really diffuse those ends. So how I did that, I took the section in the back that I cut, I elevated it to the exact same position that I was at before. So here's that. I'm going to take this and just cut just a couple. So you can see that you start getting that diffuse type line inside of that shape. And that's all I did to texturize it. Very easy, left the nape out. I just want to catch you up on the front section, how I did that last section. And then I decided to put a little bit of framing on it because we got some time. So I'm going to make sure I have my guide at the high point. Now we're jumping into the front quadrant up here. And I'm going to just clip this side out of the way so we can see. Now I'm going to switch it up and go horizontal with my fingers at this point, my finger position, which is how I hold the hair. Okay, so we want to leave the perimeter out, so I'm going to cut it. I'll cut it in a sec, a different way, more horizontally. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little diagonal back line, and I'm just dropping the hairline out. That's all I'm doing. We don't want to cut the hairline yet. I'm going to cut it a different way. So just dropping out the hairline. If there's something you don't want to cut, you don't have to pick it up and cut it. So dropping that out, let me get a good angle here on her. And now I'm just going to take this section. It's a little wide. I'm going to split it in 2 vertically. And then same thing. Here's my vertical section I'm taking. I'm going to pick up my guide from the high point, and I'm going to place it in the front of my comb right here. There's my guide. I'm going to elevate up vertically and just make almost a rainbow shape. Your fingertips are going to point at the head. So here, right here is my guide. You can see it at the edge of my finger, and we're just going to cut up. Diagonal line, drop it. Now I'm going to take my next subsection that I subdivided right there. Just going to take a little piece of my previous section, and that'll be my guide now. Same thing, I'm combing everything to the center of my fingers, pinching it vertically. I'm going to elevate all the way. My fingertips are going to point towards the scalp. There's my guide at the bottom of my finger, right by my pointer finger. And I'm just going to cut a diagonal line. So it's diagonal because remember, I'm leaving the length. It's at the length at the top in my section when I have it elevated. But when I drop it, it's the length of my hair. So it's a quick way to leave the length there. Now, the reason I'm doing this, and in the chat, if you guys have ever done long layers before and had almost like stair steps in it, let me know. Say I've done it. I've done it because I know I have. So here's why that happens. So whenever we elevate hair straight up, I was taught that's the softest way to layer, which it's a soft way to layer for sure. But when I cut right at the top, it's actually going to give me a hard line when I drop it. So it's going to give me a hard line in the silhouette. Then the next thing I used to do is I would pick that up as a guide, and I'd start following it down, and I'd cut, and then I'd cut here, and I would follow it all the way down. Basically, when you're taking hair and you're elevating it straight up, you're going to get a hard line. You're also going to get a hard line when you elevate it straight out 90 degrees. Look at that. That's a 90-degree angle right there. So it's going to give you a hard line in the silhouette. Now, in between, when you cut right here, it's actually going to scoop away hair and actually kind of sink it in. So if you think about putting a hard line and then you're taking hair away and sinking it in all the way till you get right here again, you're putting another hard line. What's happening is you're creating that kind of mushroom cap. So if you've ever had a client come in and say they have like stair steps in their haircut, or maybe they just say it feels like a really hard, heavy mushroom cap type line on top, that's because that middle was elevated differently than the 2 pieces that sandwiched it. So if that's making sense, show some love. An easy way to fix that is by doing this graduation swelling, which we'd be taking that and elevating it all the way across the head to where it wraps and lays on top of the head. and you just cut that extra length off at the top. So it's a super easy way to get that complete. Now, real quick, to just catch you up, Roger, I'm going to show just the front framing. It's super simple, really quick. I cut a guide on this side. I cut it about to the base of the neck right there. So that's my guide to start right here. I'm going to pick up a piece. What I'm going to do is just section from the corner of the eye. I'm going to take my comb, rock it straight up, and that would be my section. So I'm taking the corner of the eye, rock my comb up. It's that front fringe section. I'm going to clip back what I'm not cutting. And let's lower her a bit. Here's my guide right there. I'm going to reach over, grab another clip. And here's the easiest way to see this. I'm going to point her forward, and I'm standing on the opposite side. I'm going to split this in half. My guide is going to come from the opposite side. It's right at the center. I should have taken a little bit bigger of a slice. And same thing. I'm going to swell the hair over. However, now I have her tilted down so you can see I'm holding my fingers horizontally. So I'm now going to cut short to long, and I'm just going to flip it. Don't do this when you're cutting, but I'm going to flip to show you. Short to long, just like that. Now, when you're cutting, you want your body position to be in line with your section. But like I said, I'm doing this so you guys can see. There's my guide underneath, and I'm just going to cut short to long. It's a super easy way to add some framing. Here's what it looks from straight on. Just like this. So 90 degrees elevation right there, still wrapping it and laying it on the head. And it's just going to give a super soft front face framing. So if you guys have learned something so far, give some love, show some love. Roger's going to walk you through his next little section. I'm going to start giving some curls to this, just so you can start seeing all the layers and all the texture that we started putting in this hair. Now remember, we haven't cut the length, so she still has all her length. She probably needs a trim, but she told me she didn't want one this time, so we'll get it next time. So Roger's going to catch you up where he's at now.
Everybody. All right, Katie, how are we doing out there? Is anybody asking questions that we need to know about? You know?
Yeah, you guys are doing great, getting a lot of hearts. There was a question for both of y'all, Roger. The question to you was, do you always use a new razor blade? And then Ellen had a question about, would you ever do that haircut on wet hair? So,
oh yeah.
Do you always use a razor blade, or what they say?
A new blade, like
a new blade. Yes,
yeah.
Always use a new blade. You want to make that a habit, no question. The thing about the razor is that, you know, like to make a disposable metal, you would think you'd have to make it relatively affordable. And so it's not anywhere near the quality that you would get out of, like, you know, a hardened kind of blended or whatever you want to use, polychrome steel. No metal that's like tempered is strong and it lasts for a really long time. These do not, because they're meant to just toss. So change them often, change them frequently. In fact, I'll just show you how to do it, because why not? The thing I like about Samsung is you can just drop the razor right in the box. Goes right in there, disposes, and that little slide. And then you take a new one, you poke it right on there, and you don't have to touch the razor at all. So that's nice. What we're working on now, you can see we're kind of building this short to long. I don't know if you guys have noticed that the little bells are coming back pretty heavy, like they were in the 50s, 60s, and all the way into the 70s. So this helps it get that. I know it's long layers, but I got kind of bored with long layers, so I'm going to add like a little bit of something so it moves and flips and gets weird. What I'm going to do here is just draw a section that starts towards the face frame. Face frame was already done, right? And we cut it diagonal, so leaving the length towards the bottom. Medium stroke with the razor. Hair is wet. Ellen's question back there about doing it on the dry hair. Do you want to just speak to that from where you're at, or do you want to come?
Okay. Yeah, so you can cut my haircut wet as well. It's the same principles. The only difference is that you're going to get a little more texture and a different end result when cutting it dry, just slightly. I find that I don't have to texturize quite as much when I cut dry, but that's just because sometimes I'll point cut dry. And it's also exactly how the hair is going to lay is how I see it. So you can totally cut it wet, just exactly the same. Cool.
Good one. Good one. For me, I'll speak to that one too, if you don't mind. For me, cutting dry hair stays longer. Like when I cut dry hair, I pay more attention to the length of it. When I'm cutting wet hair, I'm like, make it all match. So a lot of the times I leave out the water as well when it comes to that sort of type of haircut that she's doing there. Okay, so I'm going to turn here so that you can get a close up on this section. This is the section I'm about to cut. I'm taking diagonal back slices and I'm drawing them out to the corner here. And I'm going to just tap off that top bit. You can, maybe you can't see, let me grab it a little bit. There's like a length reference underneath. Shows how long this stuff is. So I'm literally just taking a little tiny corner off of the front here. Back her up further so I can direct it forward. So diagonal back slice, getting into the length, and only need a few sections from before. Now your elevation is straight out, right? But your over direction can change. Depends on what you want. The further forward I take it, the longer the hair back here stays. The more out to the side I take it, I'm breaking into that length. So on the left side over there, I took it out to this corner. So it would be the corner of the eye, take it straight out. You'll see the stuff underneath drop, and I just take that top corner off. And I'm quitting before I get to the length. The length doesn't get touched. You may not have taken a piece out and sectioned it out, but I'm cutting it so that the length doesn't get touched. Let me see if there's a little bit I missed in here, shorty. No, that's coming from the fringe. Don't cut that off. I'm really just looking for the top corner of this. Let me turn her just slightly. So I'm taking about a 1/2 inch slice, and I'm focusing really on the top of that slice. If I exit at different points, meaning like maybe I leave the length out from here down, maybe on the next section I jump up a little higher. It's almost like creating a zigzag parting in the beginning. And if you're scared of it, take that parting out in the beginning. That's okay. Perfectly okay to play it safe and take the zigzag part out. Meaning, so if I was going to separate this in half and just make a zigzag parting to get the top that I'm going to cut and the bottom that I'm not, that's okay. But now I'm directing each piece. Now that I've made it beyond the back of the ear, now I'm going to take this section and actually just take it straight out above the ear. So if you're familiar with points of reference or cutting to certain points, I cut at the corner of the eye until I got to the top of the ear. At the top of the ear, I'm dragging everything to that point until I get to corner back or the corner in the back. And then I will shift my point of direction again. So I'm making mile markers. As I get to the corners, I turn. Top of ear and center back, I turn. So it's getting harder and harder to see because of all the hair that's dropping down from above. Essentially, I'm taking diagonal back slices. Take you back to where she is. I'm taking diagonal back slices that work all the way to center back, and I'm cutting just the top of that corner off. I'm to my last section. I can see a question popping up. What's going on? Love your bracelet. Thank you. Good, good. That was a gift from Ellen that I've had for years and years now. My personal favorite. Okay, so that's what the hair looks like when it cuts off, right? You want to be paying attention to each section before you drop it. You want to see little serrations or like little peaks and valleys of it. If you see big chunks and chops, you want to go back and just make sure that you're on the right track. Okay, so let's come back and drop this hair. Can't wait to see this thing finished. So I'm going to try to make that happen. But I know that you guys love the sound of blow dryers. So what we're going to do is I'm going to take this offset jam over there, put a little finish on some of it. I want to show you with what I'm using first because it's exciting. I'm going to go use this Bubby. It's a brand new one. I haven't even taken it out of the box yet. I know people like that stuff, so I'm going to show you what it looks like in the box. Comes with the two different, let's see if I can get close. There you go. Comes with the two different nozzles over here. And all the cords and stuff are tucked underneath. Of course, I have a diffuser from my old blow dryer, which fits on this one as well. So I may go back and forth between, I want to kind of scrunch in some natural texture. I'm not going to straighten it, polish it too much. I want it to kind of be fluffy and roughy like she did it on her own. Ellen's got some finishing going on over here with the iron. She's already at that level. So I'm going to jump out. She's going to jump in. We'll be right back and do it again.
All right. Okay, so started doing some waves on my client over here. And I'm just going to show you how I like to do the waves. So it's a mixture between basically a curling iron, our Marcel iron, which I'll show you, and our sleeker iron. So getting like that loose kind of, it's kind of the lazy wave. You could call it beachy if you want. I haven't put product in it yet. I'm going to do some kind of spray wax for texture. So I did have a little bit on there, so it has a little residue right now. But this is the Marcel, and I believe, did we say, Katie, it's 45% off today too, which early Black Friday deals. You love it. So here's the cool thing about it. It can spin, right? So if you've never used a Marcel, this is like something I don't know how to use a spring iron anymore because I had to train so hard on how to use this. When I first held it in my hand, I was like, I don't know what's going on. But basically it spins, right? So here's the easiest way that I can find to hold it. So if I take my hand and I'm just going to slide my pinky and my pointer finger under the bar. So it looks like this. And I lift it just like this. I start putting kind of my pinky out sometimes. But I just find that's the easy way to pick it up. Now, I think I learned it by just having the tool off and practicing and just rolling it and lifting it and making sure I had the right motions. But what's cool about it, it's a 2-in-1. So it turns into a wand as well. So super easy. This is the 1-inch. Turns into a wand. So you have both options. I have it on the highest setting because she has virgin hair. She has not colored it, but also just like the sleeker has a color treated setting and a low setting. So same here. There's the red. There it is. And I can go down to color treated. I can go down to low. So low I would use for probably my blondes or someone that has slightly compromised hair. And then color treated in general, you want to use that on anyone that has color on their hair. I don't know if you guys saw that like viral video going around, and it was like, this is your blonde if you don't turn the heat down or use heat protection on your tools, on your hair, excuse me. But it basically makes the hair completely pull the toner out completely, and it turns yellow. So if you've ever had a client come in and like say, my hair turned brassy really quick, it got yellow, tell them they need to be turning their tools down. This is a great option for our guests too. Set it on the low setting. We don't need 1,000,000 degrees to put any kind of wave in. Now, if she has virgin hair or, you know, non-colored hair, yeah, you have some give there. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use my sleeker. Now I'm going to try and make sure I started on the wrong side here. I'm going to come around. Don't want to get my elbow in the way. So we're going to just do like a loose kind of roll wave. And then on top of it, we're going to use our Marcel to do textured waves going in opposite directions. So I'm going to hold the hair out, place my sleeker in. You can go up first or low, and I'm just going to turn it back and then come forward. Turn back, come forward. I feel like every time I pull it out, I'm just looking for a little bit of a wave, right? Now, you might think, oh my gosh, there's crimps in it. Nope, you don't see it once you comb through it. And my tension isn't super strong, but it's slightly, you know, I'm holding a good amount of tension on it. Let's just say that. Now you can keep it lower. I tend to pull it out. I feel like it kind of at more of an angle gives more airiness to it, but that is my opinion. I'm not even sure if that is, it's not a principle by any means. So now I'm going to take my next section down and I'm going to pick up the Marcel. So I'm going to go back to the Marcel here. And I'm just going to split this in half. I'm going to take my Marcel up vertically. And I always start in the middle, roll out, and it's that classic beach wave that we've been rocking for years. I'm still doing it all the time. Leaving the ends out, clicking down. And see how I slide those fingers in just to lift the iron. Again, I'm going to try to get closer here. Now I'm just going to spin and pull out just like that. Sometimes if I just want to loosen it up right away so it's not too tight, I'll just run my hands over it and just let it chill. Now we'll comb these out once they've cooled down. So you want to keep the heat in the hair completely until you take a brush to it or cool down too much. That's those hydrogen bonds. They're going to seal down the hair so it helps hold. If you ever had someone say, my hair never holds curl. Well, one, is their sectioning right? Are they using any product possibly? But also, are they brushing through it too soon? So we want to let that cool down before we brush it out. Okay, next section, we're going to go back to the sleeker now. So the sleeker, we're going to go back to that. I'm going to turn the view so you can kind of see from the side now. There we go. Okay, now this is a pretty large section, so I could split this in two. It's wide. Okay, here we are. So I'm just going to sink down and go out. Down and then out. And just continue all the way down. We're just looking for that lazy wave. I'm going to lower them a little bit. Okay, and then same thing. I'm going to continue onto this section in the front. Holding it out horizontally. I have basically like a 90-degree elevation right here. I'm going to go down and then out. So you're going to look at your wrist right now, and then you're going to turn and check your time. And you're just getting a really organic, lazy wave. So from the front profile, that's a soft wave you're getting. And then right on top of it, the last section that I have, you're going to go back to your Marcel. So it's a super simple way to get texture in your haircut as well. You just put all that cutting texture in. Now with styling, you want to do the same. Okay? Keeping the ends out. Now this one, I'm going to roll back. And the next one, I'm going to roll forward. So a nice little pattern is back, forward, back. This size Marcel is 1 inch that I'm using. Cool. Oh, nice. Got the question right there. Now we also have, I believe, 1.5 inches. That's the one that I use on my hair. You can see that it's got a lot more of a, I should say, less rotation to it. Okay, so let's go from side profile. Now we're going to roll forward. So now rolling forward, meaning towards the face, leaving the ends out. I tap, and then I'm also going to leave the base out. Thank you. I'm glad you like my hair. It's fierce. Thanks. I appreciate it. Someone said my hair's fierce. Roger cuts my hair, so that's probably why. Okay, and then last section in the front. And then I'll finish up the back, but we'll let Roger pop in and see how he's doing back there. It sounds like he's still blow drying, finishing up. Leaving the ends out, and then here's the twist. What's so great about the Marcel is you can twist out so easy. And you kind of, I mean, this is just my opinion, you don't really get the same result with the spring iron. Now, there's no right or wrong. I'm horrible at using the spring iron, but mostly just because my hands are like, I don't know what I'm doing anymore. Some people are magicians with it. So I think whatever suits your needs best is how I'd roll with that. So we got Roger finishing up back there. So let me do a couple more sections. How you doing, Roger?
1 more minute.
1 more minute. Okay. So if you guys have any questions, let me know. Yeah, working on your Marcel skills is so important. Like I said, like this is the best way to hold it. This is what I think. Boom. Just like that. And I actually made a video on this that maybe I'll post today after that. But working on it, like I said, no right or wrong. You can easily just get closer to the base. And it's just a different way to twist out. You don't get those kinks or those bends in the hair. So like I said, super easy to just roll. It all spins for you. And even my clients that I've had in the salon, I tell them to learn. It's super easy. Make a little video for them. Teach them how to do it. But, you know, they get different results compared to when they do it at home with a different iron. So we sell both. We have a spring and a Marcel. This is just the way I like to roll it out. So I'm going to finish curling the back. I think we're getting ready to wrap up here. And just to show you kind of the finished product in the front, super cool, kind of lazy wave. just like so. I love it. So cute. And you can see those layers. Okay, we'll catch up in a second. I'll finish the back and we'll wrap it up.
Yeah. Okay, made it to the dry time. Still going to do one thing in front of you here because I wanted you to see this. I switched. I started out with the Vision blow dryer, and then let me grab this. And then I just ended on this. Like, look, here's the real deal. You ever get behind on time and be like, I'm not going to get this done in time? I'm over there blow drying thinking, yes, the Vision blow dries fast, but it's the blow dryer, right? It's that sort of technology. This one is a different scenario altogether. Let me plug it in. Wasn't ready for that, but basically when you get this guy, you got a 0, you got a fan with the 2, and then just a 2. I'm going to take it to the one with the fan first, the one with the heat. So make sure it's plugged in over here. Come on, baby. There we go. So then it starts blowing out air, but if you look inside of there, oh, I can do it. There's little lights. I got a couple hairs. There's little red lights in there. And those red lights mean that it's heating up. So the pins get hot. So you kind of get this like flat iron, blow dry, same timesies. And to get the flip, you're going to just whip it. Got my elbow up crazy to get out of your way, but you may be able to just rest your hand here if you wanted to, but I'll block you. I'm going to hold the cord and go way up. And just kind of press it into your hands, and you can get a nice little bell flippy sort of scenario. It's funny because it reminds me tragically of Rachel's sister in 1999 on Friends, but it's back pretty hard. There's a lot of like solid on the bottom too, so if you're more of a blunter person, you could do that. I mean, the streamlines are a good one for it. You can just kind of come in and blunt the bottom off if you wanted to. I'm going to grab just that section. I got some like point cutted ends looking, and just blunt them if you want to. The stronger the line, the harder the flip, really. But the more kind of deconstructed that line is, the more of a non like proper flip you'll get. I like the flip impression without getting like the flip. So I tend to cut with a razor and then come back and perimeter out with something else. So streamline's a good one for that one.
The flip is back.
The flip is not like, I don't know. It's back, yeah, for sure. But anyways, we're going to take this bit, right? You can see how fluffed we got. We got a good amount of texture in there from the razor. So I can get it to really open up if I want to. I could come back with an Invisiblend or something to lighten it up more if I wanted. But I kind of like this big frothy fuzzy nasty just because I feel like that opportunity to like get it bigger is better for me. And it's the kind of hair I wish I always had, just like big and thick and rich. But I do not. So anyways, that's what we did. So we got a face frame that we created off of these two bangs. We brought the hair from the sides forward to that, and we cut it diagonal down. Finger angle is really about here, right? So staying really long toward the bottom. Then I worked elevated from the top, everything straight to the center, so sort of an inversion, using a rounded subsection, and everything working from short to long that way to fall down. Then we connected the sides from the round of the head down by directing straight out to it and leaving our finger angle diagonal out so that the length stays at the bottom. All of them cutting with the straight razor from Samvia. And that is all she has. Ellen's coming. Here we go.
No, just end result, and then we'll wrap up here. But super cute. I finished with the Wax Blast 10 from Redken.
Works.
So basically just getting a little bit of texture in there. So super lazy wave. The tools we used were the Streamline scissors, the 14-tooth point cutting shears, the texture shears, these guys. And then we used the sleeker iron and the Marcel.